Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be recreating some music from the Odyssey. Alright, so let's get started. So I've opened up our film scoring template that we always use for these tutorials. And today we're going to be looking at the Odysseus track. I watched it over the weekend and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. I've gotten a lot of messages from you guys asking me to do a tutorial for this soundtrack, so I'm going to give it a shot today and hopefully have some fun. So before we get started, an important thing I should mention is Christopher Nolan actually asked the composer Ludwig Göransson not to use a real orchestra for this film, so he recreated Greek instruments for this soundtrack. But today what we're going to do is we're going to recreate the soundtrack using virtual libraries, but hopefully we can create something that sounds quite close while still having fun with it and doing our own thing. I'm going to have this full-length tutorial available on my Patreon. I'm going to leave the link down below. I'll also have the session file available there. All the tracks and the setup will be available and you can use this session to create your own music. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our Woodwinds, and I've loaded up here just a simple Woodwinds track, so our Piccolo instrument. And the way this is played is we've got a C in the bass and the melody starts on A flat. So when you load up Ableton, the time signature is automatically set to 4/4. So if you'd like to change it, so today we're going to be using 3/4 time signature. The way you can change that is up here on the left. You just change this from 4/4 to 3/4, which I've already done, and then right click under one of these numbers and then insert time signature. Alright, now let's give this a shot. And then what we'll do is at that part, we'll bring everything in and make it really big and epic. Start bringing in the drums. Maybe we can bring in some bigger sounding instruments and some guitars, maybe some brass, some strings and stuff as well. So we're not really listening to Mr. Christopher Nolan by not using an orchestra, but for today, we can have some fun and just see what we can come up with. And I'm liking how the timing is not 100% perfect. That's adding to that sound as well. Now what I want to do is at this point, we're going to start again. But we're going to add in an extra note, and I'm pretty sure in the track there's an F. So let's have a listen to this. And just have fun with it yourself, guys. So just do whatever you think is going to sound good. Don't have everything stopping at the exact same time. So you can see here I've got this one stopping a little bit earlier, and they stop at different times. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this C all the way through. Right, here we'll put in a marker. So if you just hit set in the top right corner, you can put in a marker. Right click, rename, we'll call this start. And then here, we're going to build, and we're going to call this epic. Alright, now for this part, let's start with some drums. Always remember to name your tracks, because later when we're mixing, we're going to have drummers trying to figure out what's what. Alright, that's sounding pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and map out what we're going to be playing here. So what I like to do is load up a piano, and I've mentioned this in another tutorial as well, but for everyone who's new here, we'll go over it again. So just load up a new MIDI track, and then if you go over to Sounds in Ableton and you bring in a piano, you can choose anything. I like to use grand piano, and what I like to do here is use just using this piano, map out this section of the song. Just using simple notes, and then we can use that as a bass and as a reference, and we can apply that to different instruments as we go on. It goes something like this. know it's sounding pretty weird because we're using a piano, so we're going to mute the piano, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this, move it to our strings. Let's get our violins in. What we'll do is we'll duplicate these again, and then at this part we're going to make them play a lot harder. Okay, it sounded pretty cool. Now we want to put that melody somewhere, so let's grab that piano track again. Now I've got a really nice woodwind. It's actually cool that we're using some woodwinds for a change. Usually in these tutorials we don't really use woodwinds that often. We're always on the strings and the brass and everything, so this is pretty cool. Well, let's bring it to our oboes, or our bassoons. Let's bring it here, do the same thing that's on the strings. Take it to our oboes, let's see how this sounds. Just get it playing the melody. If you're going to just use that original MIDI file that we made and just bring it across your tracks, it's good to change things around. Don't have it just playing the exact same thing. The track is going to start to sound a little bit strange. Now I've got this really cool instrument called a Duduk. And it's a woodwind instrument, and it sounds like this. I used this in a soundtrack I did with my brother on a Uncharted fan film, which was really cool. I'll link that below if you guys want to have a listen to it. This sound plays a major role in that soundtrack. This is the good thing with working with MIDI. You can just copy, paste. It at least gives you a starting point. And then you can go in there and change the notes around. So we have our foundation. Now let's start having some fun with it. So we're going to grab what I want to do is grab the main melody and chuck it up to our violas. Just subtle, just to fill up the space a little bit. So we've got our drums kind of going bum, bum. So maybe we can accent that a little bit. Hello, my darling. Hi, gorgeous girl. Hi, baby.
Hi.
Also, guys, I just wanted to tell you about some exciting news. I became a dad on the weekend. It's the most amazing thing. That's why I was away for a couple of weeks and I couldn't get these tutorials to you guys. But I'm back and I'm excited to get going again for you guys. Alright, so I think for this kind of track we need lots of organic sounding instruments. So maybe like a acoustic guitar or some sort of Greek sounding guitar. Let's have a little play around with this and see how we go. We might have something cool here. Just very subtle in there. That's what I'm hearing. Put that there. We're going to change the notes. I'm liking that sound because it adds a bit of breathiness to it. Maybe we can add some more reverb. I still think it needs a few more layers, just accenting this main theme, main melody, before we get into the vocal. And there was somebody who messaged me on Patreon who was actually asking about what I use for my vocals. We'll go over that today, which is pretty cool. All right, I'm liking this, guys. I think we need maybe like some sort of pad or a bit of atmospheric sounds happening. So let's add in a new MIDI track. And for this, I'm just going to play the progression. So the trick is to just add in layers, not have everything so loud right in front of your face, just blend things in. And as you add in each element, each layer, the song's going to naturally start to sound bigger and more full. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the strings. And we're going to put in, just for this second part, where it gets a bit more intense, we'll call it intense. We're going to add in some like ostinato on the violins. Alright, now I'm going to go into the sounds. I'm going to see if I can find another acoustic guitar. Here we go. Let's see how this sounds. Put some reverb on that. And how I'm doing the reverb is just this little section down here on the right. Accent this kind of guitar pattern a little bit. Let's see how this banjo sounds if we chuck it on this guy. Banjo. I really like these organic sounding instruments, so. And I'm liking just blending them in a little bit so they're not too loud. Banjo 2. And I want a few more of these kind of instruments. I feel like we need a few more. Let's try this. And I'm just using that same MIDI track that we created earlier for the guitar. Let's try this electric guitar. Maybe we can add a bit of distortion to the whole thing. See how it sounds. I'm not minding that. Chuck that in the middle. So, guys, when you're making music or you're just creating your own stuff, just do your own thing. Just experiment and see if you can come up with some cool stuff. So, when you come across a cool sound, when you're working with MIDI, it's so easy to just grab a MIDI file and chuck it onto a track and see how it sounds. I feel like we need a few accents on those the first hits. Alright, now what I want to do is I'm going to grab this guitar pattern that we have. And I'm going to put it on some violins and see how it sounds if we just blend them in there really quietly. Alright, I'm liking that. We'll put them on our violas as well, just to fill up the right side of the orchestra a little bit. See how this sounds. That might sound cool all together. We're getting somewhere. Now let's put them also on our celli. But we want them playing probably an octave lower. So we're going to go in. And 12 semitones. It's sounding pretty cool. What I want to do now is I want to go across to our vocals. Let's get the guy doing the progression, and then maybe we can get the female vocalist to do the main melody. Alright, let's try this. See how that sounds. I'm gonna grab this main melody and we just want to accent that a bit more. So I'm gonna grab this one here and we're gonna put it on our strings high. Let's see if we can put those on our piccolos as well. See how that sounds. Just adding in a few more octaves to get this section to sound a bit bigger. What we're going to do now is we're going to try a female lead vocal. So female lead vocal. So let's start with the main melody and see how it sounds. We're going to quantize all these notes. I'm going to remove these top notes and we're going to leave that for when we do the harmonies and the counter melodies. So what we're going to do is we're going to add on top, we're going to add the thirds. And then again here. So a cool thing when you're doing MIDI is you can actually go in, if you just select the clip, you can go in there, you can move notes around manually instead of recording everything. And that way, especially when you're writing original music, you can go in there and you can move notes around and you can find what's actually working and what's not working. You may want to remove notes or add notes in. And this is a cool way to do it. That's the great thing about working with MIDI. So let's see how this is sounding first with the track. And I'm pretty sure in the track there's a higher note. So let's see if we can figure out what that is. So the main vocals are still sounding a little bit bare to me. So what we can do is let's grab a choir. Let's see how it sounds with all the music. There's one vocal in there that she has a lot of vibrato that I just need to find and remove. So always when you're putting in layers, don't feel like, you know, you record something in and it's a vocal and technically she's singing, so she should be heard all the way through. If it's not sounding right to you, it's not sounding good to your ear, you can always just go in there and lower the volume. Just trust your ears and do what sounds good. So let's find where this vibrato is. Might be this one here. Yeah, so let's fade that off. Now we're going to add in some deeper vocal chants. And a little trick I like to do is load up a choir plugin or load up a choir sound library. And what we're going to do today is we're just going to just hit a whole bunch of random notes. And we're going to add those in just to add a bit more intensity. And I'm pretty sure that something like that is in the track as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to loop this section. I'm going to have a little play around with the mix. Alright guys, I'm liking it. It's sounding pretty cool. It's coming together. Alright, now what I want to do is I want to loop this section. We'll do one more. On this one we'll have a bit of fun and add in some like overdubs. Maybe we can put in some brass, put in some more percussion. I've got an idea with some lead vocal stuff we could do as well. And now in the film, one thing I really liked was when he set up his bow and it did the bum bum bum. So maybe we can add something like that in, which could be cool. And maybe we can do it with a vocal. And then later we can add in the strong belt, like the chest voice. That I'm hearing something in my head. I don't know if it's in the real track or not, but I'm feeling like when it hits that next chord, add in some extra notes there. And so what I'll do, I'll load up some violins and let's see if I can figure out what I'm hearing in my mind. We're gonna need another progression. Alright, let's grab all this. And control, click and drag. Bass. What I'm hearing is in the bass, so we might need to add an extra note. So let's see if we can figure it out. That might be what I'm hearing. Alternate progression here. So I'm gonna go in. I don't know if this is in the real track, but we're just having some fun and hopefully we're coming up with something pretty cool. Alright, change the progression here. Now, a cool production technique that you can do that works really well with music like this, where there's like a nice rhythm and a nice pacing, is you put in a rhythmic synth really low in the mix, just to beef it up a little bit. Alright, I'm liking that, guys. Now let's add in the brass. Beef this up with some more drums. So let's go over to our drums. Alright, now let's go in and add that final lead vocal at the end. Awesome, I'm liking that, guys. Let's have a listen to the final. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I had a lot of fun creating this. I really enjoyed the movie. Being Greek myself, it was great to see something like this. Feel free to have a look at my Patreon. You'll get the full-length tutorials available there. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate the support. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.